Next, we will learn how U.S. companies can work with multilateral development banks to increase participation in MDB's projects. We would like to introduce Belén Gallegos. I want to share my screen. Just 1 minute. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Hi, Belén. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us today. Belén Gallegos is the Senior Commercial Liaison in the Office of the U.S. Executive Director at the Inter-American Development Bank. Belén, thank you for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Luciano. Thank you for the invitation to you and to the rest of the Bid for the Americas team. You guys do a lot of great work, and we're happy to support your efforts here. I am going to share my screen, and please let me know if it, for some reason, does not work.
Perfect. Okay. You can see it perfectly now.
Okay. All right. Apologies. So as Luciano said, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about the Department of Commerce's program for working with the multilateral development banks. We've actually had a couple of people reference some of the commercial service and Department of Commerce services and product offerings. So I'll try to work some of that information into this too. But as the senior commercial liaison to the IDB from the Department of Commerce, it's my job to help companies navigate this institution, and I'm here to tell you more about that. So looking forward to presenting here. So for those that may not be so familiar with the MDBs, largely what these institutions do is they provide financial and technical assistance for projects in the regions that they cover. So those sectors are quite wide-ranging, from social sectors such as health and education to more of the infrastructure or energy type of opportunities. What the MDBs also strive to do is to encourage a level playing field through the various rules and policies that these projects and opportunities entail. So the U.S. is the largest shareholder at the 5 institutions that you see here. We have commercial liaison teams at all of these banks. My colleague Barbara White and I serve at the IDB specifically. So we cover Latin America and the Caribbean. But if you are interested in any of the other regions, other banks, we also have commerce officials there that would be happy to speak with you. So when it comes to promoting MDB and IDB opportunities to our U.S. companies, we group these things in 3 general buckets. It's a lot more nuanced, but we're going to go with 3 buckets for the sake of understanding. So there's a public sector work, which some of you may be more familiar with. So if you have heard about IDB projects or World Bank projects where the institution is lending financing to a country to build a road, build a school, that's what we would call the public sector work. Then there's a private sector division at the IDB, that's IDB Invest. And so that's where you as a private company, if you are developing a project in one of the countries where the bank works, you can come to IDB Invest and talk about a financial solution, maybe a loan or a guarantee to carry out your project. Then last but not least is the corporate procurement opportunity. So these institutions, as you well know, are quite large. They have offices where they're headquartered, but then also out in the countries where they work. So they're a market in and of themselves. So they hire and contract services from IT to, hard goods like desks and chairs. So they're also, an opportunity. In terms of why you should be considering MDB projects, you can see all the reasons here. We'll leave these materials with you for your review, but there is a wide variety of contract sizes, opportunities, sectors, countries, and most importantly, there's a high certainty of payment and transparency in these processes. So if you're looking to further expand into Latin America, or for the other MDBs in other parts of the world, it's always helpful if you consider the MDB projects because the commercial liaison teams are here, as well as all of the policies that the institution requires for financing a project. For the Department of Commerce, we largely provide these four buckets of services to our companies. So if you want to learn more about the IDB or understand how your company could plug into it, come talk to us. Barbara and I are always happy to meet with companies. We meet with companies every day. We can do everything from providing the 101, like what is the IDB, how does it work, to getting really into more of like that market intelligence, talking more about a specific country, a specific project, a specific sector, depending on what's of interest. But we always want to hear about what you offer, what your services are, what your products are, in order for us to kind of guide you along this way. And then if it's appropriate and is of interest too, we can connect you and help with networking within the institutions. And finally, despite best efforts, sometimes things do go awry when it comes to projects, and we're here to support and help you navigate what's going on in those projects. So to kind of put that into context a little bit, when we talk about an engagement strategy, at least from the Department of Commerce's perspective, we recommend that you start with what we call the Commercial Service IDB office. So that's Barbara and me. We're an office of two, and to talk about, again, learn what you're offering, what the bank is doing, and how those two can connect. And then, if appropriate, we can set up some exploratory meetings to talk to some of the bank officials. But then, especially for the public sector side, and if you're looking at those public operations, it's really important that you also conduct further outreach to partners in the country that you're looking to explore, as well as to the decision makers. So for that, and this is where some of what Cesar was talking about when we started today's event, and the different exporter services that the Department of Commerce has to offer are really important. So I included a quick link there. It's everything about the different products and services and how to connect is there in the exporter resources page. But it's going to be very important that if you need a local partner to bid on a project, our embassy team can help with that. Or if you want to be known to the decision maker, because the public sector projects, oftentimes those are all decided and awarded by the country officials. So the Ministry of Energy for country X, or Ministry of Transportation for that country. So the embassy teams can also get you connected with the people there. Now, diving specifically into the IDB, so these institutions, sometimes people just think of it as a single thing, but at the IDB, it's actually three different windows. So there's a public sector window doing a lot of that work that I just described, where it's the IDB lending, financing, or providing technical assistance to a country, or maybe a state, like in Brazil, it's sub-sovereign entities qualify too, and they develop a project, and then companies can come and bid on those opportunities. That is the largest window of work, as you can see. But then there is another division called IDB Invest, and that's where private companies or regional banks or state-owned enterprises can approach the institution and talk about financing solutions to get a project off the ground. So that is a really important area of the bank. It's actually, it does a lot of similar work to what my USG colleague from Exim was referring to, where they're not trying to crowd out private banking or the private sector, but if you are trying to maybe execute a project in a market that maybe a traditional bank wouldn't be able to easily lend money for, then IDB Invest, just like Exim or the IFC at the World Bank, are the windows where you can come and talk about the project that you're looking to develop. And then finally, there's IDB Lab, which is the innovation hub. It's the smallest window, but they do a lot of great work when it comes to piloting new ideas or further incentivizing innovation to develop new approaches to some of the issues and concerns that are being noted in the region. So for the IDB, we're talking about 40 member countries, but only 26 of those countries is where the bank works. So those are the first two columns. We can see Latin America and the Caribbean exclusively. And these are where IDB Invest could lend for if you're developing a project in one of these countries, or where you'll see a public sector project. The countries on the right side, including the United States, they're members of the institution, but the bank doesn't provide financing for projects there. But companies from these countries can bid on the opportunities and participate in the opportunities that are developed for the first two columns. So the IDB has just a wealth of information, but we always recommend that if you just kind of want to get a feel for what is out there in your sector or in a country of interest, to start with a project search. It's a great way to kind of, you know, gauge what the coverage for your sector is or for a country. We always do note that you should make, do write down the project number, which is the first column that you'll see here. It's really important, especially for navigating the other platforms that I'll mention in a second. So if you were to click on one of these lines that you see in the image on the right side, maybe like the third or fourth project that you see, it'll prompt a website to open that'll look like this. I captured parts of it, but it's a single website. You'll see the title, you'll see a quick summary, as well as the date that the project was approved by the board, and the type of opportunity it is, right? This one specifically is technical cooperation, which means that that it's providing technical support versus a loan directly to a country. If you were to scroll further down, when viewing one of these project pages, you'll see there's a section with the project documentations, including the procurement plan. It might be a little difficult to see, but it's here. There's a little screen grab here of what a couple lines from the procurement plan look like, and you'll see, for example, here. This line is featuring consulting services for design upgrades of electric grid systems and components, and you'll see what the value of that is and kind of the expected timeline. So it's a good way to gauge what work may be out there for specific opportunities. So again, taking note of that project number, right? You recorded the project number, and then you can move on to this other website that the bank has for the notices part of it. And this is for projects that are being executed by the Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Energy of the different countries. You'll go to this project procurement website, and if you were to search specifically for your number, for example, that number that you recorded, under the procurement notices tab, which here I've highlighted in yellow, you can filter out that information, and then that'll open like a PDF of all of the details for that opportunity, who to contact, what the requirements are, the policies that are related to that opportunity. So, it kind of all goes in a chain. This is a lot of information. This is, again, why Barbara and I are here to help if you're interested in learning more about these opportunities. I think someone else, probably one of the Lucianos, will be speaking about these great apps that the bank has too. So I won't go into that too much, but there are two great resources that the bank has. Always recommend that U.S. companies download those, sign up for them, set up alerts so you are aware of opportunities as they are approved and as they put out notices for procurement. Now, going back to the different parts and different buckets of work, for the corporate procurement side, or what we here have called the IDB-led procurement, there are two types of opportunities where the institution itself is the decision maker. So those are called either the bank executed operations, which is more of project preparation work or consulting work, and then also the corporate needs. So again, a lot of those, like maybe it's the design of a new office, or IT services for the IDB, or desks for the IDB. Regardless, it will be really important to complete the supplier registration form, which we've linked here. And then there's this really great vendor guide, which you'll see the screenshot here on the right, and a link on the left. It'll walk you through kind of what that process is. But if you're looking more at the bank executed work, so more of the consulting opportunities, you'll also have to register for the bank executed operations portal. And this is, again, while you'll need to register with a vendor number, you'll need it to complete all of this. But you can then search for the active opportunities that the bank is hiring a consultant for the preparation of a project. Um, for internal needs, so again, more of those institutional procurements, the IT services or design services. It's this other website, the Corporate Procurement Opportunities website, and you'll see here in yellow on the left, even though it's very little, they'll add different lines of work. If you click on those, you'll see something like you'll see on the right on this slide, where it's a PDF with the different dates, who to contact within the institution to note your interest. They do ask that you flag your interest for these projects so that they can continue to send you more information and the full details of the opportunity. So as you saw, that is a lot of information. There are a lot of different ways to work with the bank. So we welcome the opportunity to connect with you, learn more about what your company does and how we can be of service. As I shared, we do have commercial liaisons at the 5 banks where the U.S. has an office and is represented, and this is all of our contact information. But again, if you'd like to learn more on the other side of the Department of Commerce's export promotion work and kind of getting started with everything that the bank has, that the department has to offer, I've also included a link below for our commercial service offices in your state. We cover every state, every part of the United States. So there's a local Department of Commerce representative that is focused on companies, U.S. companies from that area, and helping you navigate all of the different Department of Commerce services, whether it's export promotion services or more of the bank services. They're a great point of contact and can connect you to the embassies and that whole network. So please, do visit that site. And then if you want to talk about specific opportunities at any of the banks, we're available to do so. So with that, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Belen, for your great presentation and for showing us those opportunities with MDBs. That's really helped to understand how to work with them. Thank you once again.